I have recommended Harrison Ross to people, and I always do when I'm asked. But the thing that I always say to the people that I recommend them to is you need to look at it differently, because you may have been to physios in the past who will fix the problem but not necessarily give you a future maintenance program. So if people were landing on the Harrison Ross website today and wondering why they should come to Harrison Ross over and above another physio, for me, I would say that, if you've had treatment for problems in the past and they haven't gone away, then what I found myself doing was thinking, okay, what can I do differently to try and see if I can make sure these problems don't come back? And the experience I've had at Harrison Ross is that they look at the bigger picture. They look at where you are now, what might have been behind the cause of that injury, and where you're going to be in the future, and how you can, remove or lower the percentage chances of that injury coming back. So it's I think you touched on it in terms of it's almost like a lifestyle choice. You don't just want to get the injury fixed for here and now, you want to make sure that the injury doesn't come back in the future. And that's, I think, what Harrison Ross offer you, the full spectrum of assessing where you are as an individual, the cause and the effect, and how you can manage and deal with that in the future. I'd had back problems for a number of years, which resulted in an operation in 2006 where there was a sciatica disc clean-up. And I'd been fine for a couple of years, and then I'd gone to a personal trainer in Manchester and started getting some issues with my back again, and he recommended me to Rob Harris. And that is how I ended up at Harrison Ross in probably early 2009. I think for me, the effort that Rob and Jeff went to when I first arrived as a patient to understand the problem, not just the problem that was in front of them, but also the root causes of all the problems that had led to that point. And the efforts that they went to help me get back into participating in sport, because I'd always been really sporty and I was getting very frustrated. So that really was, for me, gave me a level of confidence in them that I hadn't felt with other physios, and their willingness to take me on as a challenge, the effort they put into helping me, and then also as well the fact that once they got me right, they wanted me to stay right and stay fit and healthy. So they looked at things like podiatry, sports massage, the general ongoing management and maintaining of a chronic back injury that we'd managed to put right. The physios I'd been to previously had never kind of gone past this is the fix, how do we maintain it? And that was the difference with Harrison Ross in terms of, okay, so we've got you from point A to B, we want you to stay fit and healthy, so it almost becomes a lifestyle in terms of these are the steps that we have to follow and look into to ensure that you can stay fit and healthy. So for me, it was, I think it's a very different approach. One of Rob's ethos is, they can give you a rehab program, but they know that if you get bored of it, you're not going to stick at it. So one of Rob's mentalities is how can we get the patient to continue to enjoy and maintain the level of rehab. So it was Rob that suggested that I took up triathlon, because for me, the different components of it would each work well for my back problem. And as is quite typical of most people who take up triathlon, you actually get hooked on it quite quickly and quite easily. And now it's kind of the only thing that I actually do from a sporting perspective. Everything else has gone out the window. I'm not interested in playing golf or squash anymore, it's triathlon. So I think it was a great idea to try and link the rehab to something that the patient can focus on and continue to do. I would describe it as almost like full service sort of physio in terms of the whole spectrum of issues. So, you know that when you go to one of their physios that specialises in sports massage, that it will have been briefed. You know that when you go to Olga, Rob and Jeff have already given her a good briefing of what the history of the patient has been, more so than the notes, just reading the notes. And likewise, now if Olga spots something, or Hannah, the sports masseuse, spots something, they will refer back to Rob because of the nature of my history. And you do get that feeling that it is a big team and you're not just working with one of them in isolation, basically.